Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're Salthouse. Lauren and Ewan are on the other end of the phone. We're here to talk about our new album, Huam, and the album starts with a track called Firelight, which was inspired by Nan Shepherd's poem Fires, which was found in this book, which is called In the Cairngorms. And let's go for it.
Firelight, the quiet heart of a little room. Out of the night we'll come, where the gathered gloom hangs softly still. Now the wild hill rain is over, and all that moves, a star or two, moves slowly.
Ewan coming in with the electric guitar.
Firelight, in from the cold, away from the dark. Here we are, chasing flames that roar through the world and will not tame. From the hidden fires of cosmic motion, and all that moves, a star or two, moves slowly.
Love this bit where it kind of kicks in, building an intensity.
Firelight, burning deep in the heart of man, lies unfelt and forgotten under the covered heat, to a blaze asunder, unquiet eyes that stare in wonder. And all that moves, a star or two, moves slowly.
That's the first time you hear the piano that we had in the studio where we recorded, which is fairly out of tune, and that little oscillating riff just seemed to fit. That was a bit of a last minute overdub.
And we three talk a while in the spell of his sleeping.
I think the double track vocal works really well in this bit of the track.
Fire than the heart wakes from sleeping. It wakes from sleeping. It wakes from sleeping. It wakes.
I remember when we first came to looking at these words, and the words for that last bit seemed really appropriate, because it's we three talk a while in the spell of its leaping, speaking about three friends round a fire, and that's
Yeah.
basically what we do every Friday night when we hang out together, sit around the fire, have a cup of tea, and it just seemed to work well for what we are as a unit.
Yeah. And the line that keeps coming back to me is the flames that roar through the world. In the current state of the world, seems to be fairly poignant.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the next one? This next song is called All Shall Be Still, and it originally was titled Sophrosyne, and it's a bit silly, but I came across the word Sophrosyne as I was reading about a Greek philosopher called Heraclitus. You've got to be careful when you're saying that word. And Sophrosyne is the greatest virtue and wisdom. is speaking and acting the trust, paying heed to the nature of things. It's all about a description of being in great health. And anyway, when I originally wrote this song, I basically pronounced the word wrong. So I thought it was pronounced Sophrosyne, and after I discovered it was called Sophrosyne, decided to not use it as a word for the song title or in the song at all, and changed it to All Shall Be Still. And I think it's actually a little bit more relevant to what the song is all about. It's about reconnecting with the wilderness and with nature. So it feels a bit more relevant to what we're doing anyway. So thank goodness for that. Let's play it.
Also, my debut on the electric guitar. It's pretty exciting.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jenny on and tremolo guitar also.
When you're stuck at your table with the sun outside your window, inside your head is all clattering and banging, and the brambles grow around you every day. All those voices shouting louder, you wonder why the foolish pride on the crowded train with
I tend to write, one side of my writing is playing the melody on the guitar at the same time as singing the same melody and trying to fill that in with the chords and the bass end. So that comes out in a couple of tracks plus the album.
The pedal harmonium's in here. It's an old antique harmonium that Lauren and Ewan found on eBay, and it's got a lovely tone.
Through the queues in the morning, you must travel as well, but you hear that voice from the old woods calling, you don't need this daily hell. You're seeking calm, you're seeking calm, for where you will, all shall be still.
Ewan's got an amazing knack of writing a melody or a song that is never quite square, so it always takes a little bit of time to get your head round the phrasing and to be able to play along, but I think ultimately that's kind of what gives the songs their character, is that kind of slightly certainly not metered anyway.
They're tearing and they're burning, while the people are living on the land's the same.
I remember it in the studio being a little bit raging because there's more than 4 chords that I had to play, and it took me ages. Just cursing you, Ewan.
It was all worth it.
No man ever steps in the same river twice. Change is all I can guarantee. Kindness is always nice. Kindness.
It's funny, a few people have picked up on this line and sent us wee messages. Kindness is always nice, kindness is always right, kindness is always. That's been really nice.
Now the winter is falling and the wood's running low. It's down the road where the snow lies the deepest. The sharpest thorn bears the sweetest fruit. You're seeking calm, still. All shall be still, shall be still.
I think on the subject of looking for silver linings whilst we're all in lockdown and the world's in the chaos that it is this lovely things that are happening with nature coming back into places where it's been kind of driven out. Been really enjoying seeing the swans coming back into Venice, and on a personal one, there's I was brought up in North Wales for a while, and in Llandudno all the goats have started to invade the town, so people are putting up pictures of all these goats everywhere, which is quite great.
So yeah, the next track is, I suppose it's kind of become the single for the album. We made a lovely video with great filmmaker Alec Bowman, which came out on release day. So I said, yeah, the album's been out for 2 weeks now. And yeah, it's well, I suppose there's lots of different ways you could take this song, but it's got a lot of kind of opposites in nature and opposites in kind of ethos for life. But it's a few reviews have picked up that it's almost kind of hymn-like. So it starts off with the viola and that little pump organ Jenny was speaking about. There's a lot more viola on this album than fiddle. I think the fiddle's getting phased out gradually. These guys like the viola a bit more. So yeah, this is Mountain of Gold.
I remember I had really sore calves after playing this track because the pump organ was like
It's a bit labour intensive.
Wake the old man, for he is snoring. Bring the water in from the cold. When the fish swim in the forest, will I live on a mountain of gold? Close the window, for it is blowing. Push the chair away from the door. Tasted honey gathered from heather. Now I'm always longing for more. Throw another log on the fire.
So when I recorded this, I had Andy set me up with it was the acoustic guitar, but I plugged it into the amp, and Andy set me up with just acoustic mics, but also going into the amp through various effects, loads of tremolo and a bit of reverb, and I like the mixture of the two, so you get that nice acoustic sound, but then you get that warm subby bass from the amp, my old wheezy pro sound quality PA speaker amp.
When the snow is heavily falling and you walk in weather so bold, when the moon comes out in the morning, I will live on a mountain of gold.
I think what makes the song sound, I suppose, maybe a bit fragile in a way is the unison vocals, having all three on unison instead of going for that harmony thing. It gives that kind of certain fragility to it, and that really like intimate. I love the difference between the verses are very intimate and kind of much closer recorded, and then we did the choruses all around one mic in the room. So that contrast really adds to the feeling.
And the winter runs from
I think it's a nice thing that goes across the last two albums that we've done, that Andy's brought out the sound of the room that we're working in, and the space really comes across on the albums. I really like.
Yeah, because both albums were just recorded in one room, and we would set up our whole setup within that room. We all had a corner, and it's a nice way to work. Also with natural light and a nice view, really inspires the feeling behind the words and the playing, I think. For me, more than being in a black box of a recording studio.
So yeah, check out the video online, Mountain of Gold. A lovely friend of Jenny's called David came and filmed with us in an old abandoned croft house in Glenbucket in Aberdeenshire, and we spent one of those kind of magical days in January where the weather was just crisp and highly unexpected, beautiful sunny day, making the film for that. So check it out.
I think a few people have come back and said how cosy this track makes them feel and warm. That's lovely to have. That's the intention that we tried to get across. So that's great that that's worked.
It's kind of the intention of the whole album, wasn't it? It's almost
That's
like
true.
a bit of a hug, really.
Yeah.
Aww.
Stop it! I'm gonna cry.
So yeah, the next track's the first that uses traditional words. It's an adaptation of a Danish ballad that it's like the second one, I suppose, in a bit of a series that Ewan's adapted. On the last album, a song called "The Sister's Revenge." What book was it from?
It's called The Ballads of the Affections, and it was a collection of Scandinavian ballads that was collected by Robert Buchanan in the late 1800s. He went over to Denmark, and I'm not sure if all the songs are actually Danish, but he certainly collected a whole load of Scandinavian stuff and translated it into Scots and published his book. So there's no music to go with any of the words that he's collected, and some of the languages is that fairly flowery kind of style, but there's some absolute gems in that book, and we'll probably dig another one or two out as time goes on, and it's just lovely to actually have that, have a whole load of words ready to go that you can just mess around with and get really nice melodies and try stuff out. And I think the thing I like about the Scandinavian songs, and especially the ballads, is that they kind of go to different places. Then the stories are very different to ones that we have over here. So you can get a little bit surprise or things that happened or whatever. So I quite like that.
And this started life. It was called Aga and Elsie, but decided that wasn't just the easiest name to sing for a Scottish person, so we changed it to William and Elsie. Bit of license there.
It was the young man William, he rode the summer shade to pay his faith to Elsie, the rosy little maid. He paid his faith to Elsie and sealed with the red, red gold. But ere a month had come and gone, he lay in the kirkyard mould.
There's a lot of words to try and remember.
Was the little Elsie, her heart was clay cold. Young William, he heard her moan from his bed in the kirkyard mould. Up rose William with his coffin on his back and walked by night to Elsie's barrel.
I love this bit that's about to come up when Ewan comes in with a guitar.
Through the forest black.
Sounds to me like proper kind of 70s. Love it.
Twirled the pin, rise up my bonny Elsie Lil, and let's
My dulcimer debut in this track.
Yes, that's true.
Played completely unlike you should play dulcimer. We just went for the sonics as opposed to the official way of playing them.
and let's let it matter. His dew dripping ringlets she combs with comb of gold, and I for every lock she curls there falls a teardrop cold. Listen, dear young William, listen, dearest man.
It's quite a classic kind of arranging feature that we seem to do quite a lot with stuff. Is one of us will try and have like a very repetitive pattern and see how far we can take that. While there's things kind of chordally changing or rhythmically changing over the top, so that pizzicato part just goes and goes and goes for ages. I suppose that means I've got the easy job when it comes to remembering the arrangement for the gig. But I love that in music, trying to see how far things can go till they just don't work.
And it's kind of dropped away for this instrumental part. The last line is, my grave is filled with living pain, and then this lovely instrumental which is a bit sort of discordant.
That are summoned back to grave, and I must haste away.
There's quite a lot of decisions to be made when you're arranging such a long ballad, and you can go quite theatrical, or you can just hold back, and I think it's about finding the balance so you're not over-egging the action, but you're also not disrespecting it either.
William's golden locks were grey and damp with mould. Listen, bonny Elsie, my dearest is to me. Oh, weep not for me anymore. I slumber peacefully. I slumber peacefully.
And the sort of dunk parts back in as well with the dulcimer there. It kind of builds up again towards the end.
Until the little stars, the nighted wings away. She raised her eyes to heaven, and the stars that glimmered o'er and sank that it meant to his grave. She never saw him more. Home went little Elsie, her heart was chilly cold, and ere a month had come and gone, she lay in the kirkyard mould. She lay in the kirkyard mould.
There's two quite big ballads on this record, and I remember trying to learn all the words for the first lot of gigs and thinking, let's not ever put another ballad on an album. There's too many words to learn. Although I actually find some of those ones easier to learn because there's a story, whereas the songs that don't have a story, but they might only be 3 verses or 4 lines long, they're somehow more difficult to learn.
So the next one's a much shorter thing. It's an adaptation of Emily Dickinson's poem Hope is a Thing with Feathers. A really short 3-verse song, and think of it as a little kind of palate cleanser before the next bigger song.
Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. and sweetest in the gale's heart, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it has stuck wrong of me.
Yeah, I think one of the nice things about working the way we have been over the last couple of albums is that all recording together, trying to get as much of a live take as we can, and then maybe doing any overdubs or any rechanges that need to be made. So a lot of the stuff that we've done is very naturally played, very few click tracks, and just trying to get as much of the atmosphere as possible into the album. So the next one is a song called If I Am Lucky, and I wrote it on my way to the Isle of Egg a couple of years ago, and I got as far as the ferry in Mallaig and I missed the boat, and so I was lucky enough to have a couple of friends that have got a caravan, and I went and stayed in the caravan instead and wrote this song. And yeah, it's I guess it's about empathy and about us all being in the same boat. Excuse the pun. And it features a lovely new guitar, which I put on a lot of tracks on this album. It's a Gretsch 12 string, which is behind my head. I've played acoustic 12 string for a long time and just made the transition recently, and I love it. So this is If I Am Lucky.
If I am lucky, this act is a revolution. If I am lucky, this seed will start to grow. But I've been round so many of these corners. If I am lucky, the foolish ones will fall.
Remember writing that hook when we were in tour in Germany last October. So we shout out to Keith in Germany. Sure you're watching.
I think it's a nice thing to note at this point as well that Lauren's got a really brilliant way of writing these lovely little melodies that go into the songs. They're almost as if they've always been there when she writes them. And once they're in, you can't unhear them. And there's a couple of occasions when in the recording we tried to change. I remember Jenny being like, "No!"
Stories. I must be bold and stand my ground. If I am lucky, I'll hear the wind in the trees.
I think one of the one of the things we might agree is during the process of recording this album we were conscious that quite a lot of the material is downbeat, but we were trying to make sure that it's not downbeat in a maudlin kind of way, and we hope there is a lot of hope in the album and positivity that comes through, even though it's just calm.
I could hear the sea. If I am lucky, the wild will stay with me.
This is another one a bit like William and Elsie that Lauren was saying about. She was playing the pits on William and Elsie, and on this track I play the same guitar part for the whole album and the whole track, so it has some kind of continuity through the whole thing. And then Ewan and Lauren have added these other like beautiful flourishes over the top.
I think there's quite a few violas on this part, is there not?
Two violas and two fiddles in that middle bit, the string bit.
The fires will not be burning.
I really love that line. I think it's one of my favourite lines from this song. If I am lucky, the fires will not be burning. It's like, ugh, gets me every time. Ewan writes a very good lyric.
And the determined faces of these people.
Bit of wonky piano on this one as well.
Love the wonky piano.
Goodwill will never roll.
Yeah, I think the sound of that track is, to me, it's a bit different to quite a lot of the rest of the album. It's got a lot more room and a lot more space on it. I remember having a discussion with Andy when he was producing about the sound of the strings on that track, wanting them not to be like really close mic'd, so that it sounded more like a string section rather than layered fiddle and viola parts. So it seems to give that slightly bigger sound. So we'll go to another ballad now, and again another adaptation of older words. This time, well, Jenny found words in another book, and then I came across them in this book, The Golden Staircase, Poems for Young Readers from 10 to 16, that's kind of our level, chosen by Louis Chisholm. And it's a poem called Lord Ulan's Daughter, and it references the Isle of Ulva, just off Mull. Ulva just got their community buyout very recently. Great community there. So this is probably the song with the most like underlying layers. There's so many little things bubbling away in it that just add to this big kind of pad. So yeah, Lord Ulan's Daughter.
Our big folk rock number.
Chieftain to the Highlands bound, cries boatmen do not tarry.
Lauren's hitting the bow, hitting the strings with her bow, aren't you, for this one?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. For 4 minutes.
Exhausting.
He would cross Loch Isle, this dark and stormy water. Oh, I'm the chief of Ulva's Isle, and this Lord Ulan's daughter.
And I'm bowing the dulcimer at this point as well, and hitting it with some chopsticks, as you do.
Just kind of lost the plot by this point, maybe. It must have been a few days in.
For should he find us in the glen,
And I'm playing the bass, so there's guitar and then there's a bass following at the bottom end there. completely separate parts.
Right, should they our steps discover? Then who will cheer my bonny bride when they have slain her lover?
Song, it's really good fun to sing, particularly live, because I find I get really into it and get really emotional when I'm singing it. I don't know what it is about it, just the story, I think.
Quite a stormy song, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I'm ready.
It really builds up. You can feel, like, especially with the bass, you can sort of feel it. I think that.
And again, the double vocal works really well on this one. But one Jenny's enough.
Yeah, no, bloody hell.
I'll roll you o'er the ferry. By this the storm grew out apace. The water wraith was shrieking, and in the scowl of each face grew dark as they.
You layered up quite a few guitars on this one, didn't you, Ewan? The
I think there's a couple of things in there, yeah.
I added some big piano chords too.
But not an angry father. The boat has left the stormy land, the stormy sea before her. When no too strong for human hand, the tempest gathered o'er her, and still they rode amidst the roar of waters fast prevailing. Lord Ulen reached the fatal shore, his wrath was changed to wailing.
And it all kind of drops down again on that word wailing for the last verse.
Back, he cried in grief across the stormy water. One lovely hand she
There's a
stretched for
prog rock thing coming out, and I can't think of the track, and I don't know where it's. And one day I'll hear it, and I feel like it's, and I can hear. I heard it on a keyboard or something ever since I recorded this track. Is this a Queen track? Or is this
adore his child, and he was left lamenting.
And I love that bit that Lauren plays at the end, just kind of leaves it sort of hanging on that. It's beautiful. The next song is called The Disquiet, and it's quite ironic really, because it's a song about missing home, which at the moment, up until quite recently, was something I felt quite a lot, because I live up on Shetland, which is where I am at the moment, and the nature of where it is means I can't get home as much as I would maybe like. But when I am home, I absolutely love it. And now I'm home all the time. So this song is quite ironic. And I had the words lying around for quite a while. And we were sat I was down visiting Lauren and Ewan, who are near Inverness. And we usually get together for about 3 or 4 days at a time and write new music. And Ewan was sat playing a wee riff on the guitar. And I thought, these words might fit over the top. And it just kind of perfectly fitted together. So this is The Disquiet.
Voices all up in my head, drowning out sense and reason, telling me it's not okay.
For any guitar nerds out there, I got really into the swell pedal on this track. I'd actually got 2 swell pedals, and on the next one we'll talk about. There are really a lot of fun things to mess about with.
Searching for a reason, explain my mind is reeling. Days and empty pockets, it's
words actually work in reverse as well, about wanting to be away from home, which might happen in a few weeks' time.
My heart is burning so much faster. Feeling washing over, familiar, irritating. Days and empty pockets, nothing left to stay for. My heart is burning so much faster.
Another lovely Laura MacColl tune.
Voices up in my head, drowning out sense and reason, telling me it's not okay. I've been away for much too long now.
There's something about the sound of the viola on that track that I really love as well. A lot of people ask why the viola and not the fiddle, and I just think it sits so well, particularly with Jenny's voice. She doesn't have a particularly high voice, but I can still go underneath and be in a kind of supporting underneath role. But it just also seems to have a much more like earthy quality than that kind of pristine fiddle thing, which seems to sit with the songs an awful lot better. So a certain kind of warmth on that track that just feels really, I suppose, adds to that longing and that feeling of needing home.
The next song is one called The Same Land, and I wrote the words and the melody when I was at home on Shetland, and it was an early morning, much like today, and looking out over the sea, and it's constantly changing here with the weather. Most of the time at the moment it's quite windy and not very nice, but it happened to be a beautiful morning and the sun was shining down on the sea and it was absolutely glistening and gorgeous. And at the time it was around around this time last year, and I'd been listening to the news a lot and I was getting a bit overwhelmed with that and feeling a bit helpless, and sat down with this amazing view and wrote these words about how these country borders seem to divide people, whereas I think everybody should view every other human being as their sister, their brother, their mother, their father, or their friend, and the world would be a much happier place. So I love what the opening of this track in particular, because with the effects on Ewan's guitar, you can really, in my mind, hear and see this view of the water glistening in the sun.
Hurry down on stony ground, through the fractious never ending. It's all mixed up and descending, until we find the time to breathe. Heading face.
A lot of the drones were recorded with a bow on the guitar as well, and maybe the octave pedal. So bow and a load of effects. You get some really nice, instead of just putting a fixed drone, you can work with the track and get a bit dynamics with your drone.
Way down the road, one foot and then the other, one life before another. When all of them your sister, brother, mother, father, friend.
There we are with the swell pedal again.
Can we justify the meaning of the bombing and the killing? We're all walking on the same land that's been carved by human hands. One foot and then the other, one life before another. When all of them your sister, brother, mother, father, friend.
We're keen to really have a free pulse with this song when we were recording it, so that it wasn't like a foot tapper or anything. It just sort of ebbed and flowed naturally.
I remember when we all wrote this little bit and we were rehearsing over at Jenny's house. Played it for about half an hour. And this wee bit was quite mesmeric to do.
All of them your sister, brother, mother, father, friend.
So
Yeah, those were beautiful lyrics to kind of try and shape something round when Jenny brought them to us. And I think Ewan was saying earlier, but I think that's what's been so nice about the response to the album. It's maybe just, it might be a timely thing, but the response to some of these lyrics at this time, and maybe a time where people are looking for a bit more humanity, and as much kindness as possible. I think it's resonated with a lot of folk, and that's the ultimate compliment, I suppose, when we're just creating something that comes naturally to us. So yeah, thanks for connecting with those words. It means so much to us.
we've got one more song left to play you, and this one features Lauren's xylophone debut.
Oh yeah, some skills.
I think it was originally actually inspired a bit. I wrote it quite a while ago, it was everybody, or you might have heard of the October song by Robin Williams, and I think somewhere in there is that seed of inspiration, because it's another one of those songs where the guitar line follows the melody in a big rambly, lost in the woods kind of way, and that was kind of my goal for this one. And I guess it's all about putting the world to rights around the table through the night, maybe with a few bevies, and this is kind of the morning after that, and yeah, all those things that Lauren and Jenny were just talking about, really, how frustrating times and being in love with the environment and the beauty of nature, and sad about how it's being devastated on a lot of levels, and you know, all the cheery stuff, but there's hope as well. There's a lot of hope in there. So yeah, this is called A Union of Crows.
It always felt like the right last song as well, I think. Even from early on in recording, it's like this is the one to end the album on.
As night is in the corner still, and morning sun warming the hill, the light through cracks in your shutters just tease your slumbering.
Ewan plays the nylon and steel string guitar on this.
As fallen branch in lazy stream, find open sea of waking mind you let in the day. And from the table take the glass that holds a memory of the night of talk that wound away for hours on this great union of crows. Rusting words there in your path tell you to take another way, but you are listening to time, and suddenly you are alone. Estranged from your own kind, you are as wild as any war. You're liable to cause trouble for this great union of crows, and all for following your heart, and all for learning more and more, and also you can find the beauty in the world outside your door. So while the others toil on with golden light,
Some more piano in there too.
we'll stop our lives from passing by. We'll stop the murder with just our hands.
There's a lovely line there.
And as the river slowly grows with rain from off surrounding hills, we will not heed the darkened wing of our great union of crows. And in the light of sunlit leaf, and from a walk on twisted moor, oh, speak to us if quietly, easily missed if we turn away. Why should you listen to those in this great union of crows? Why should you listen to them who steal from you in the very end?
Glockenspiel there, Lauren.
There we have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for listening, folks.
Yeah.
It's been nice to spend some time actually sitting and going over the stuff. You don't actually sit that often and listen to your own records. At least I don't. but it's been really nice to do that. Again, we'd like to thank Andy Bell and Hudson Records for helping us out so much with this lovely album, and the photography on the front of the album.
Yeah, we're the front cover of Huam is it's slightly cropped, but I'll show you a bigger version. It's a beautiful beautiful photo. You can see the full thing there. Photo by Anne Campbell, and in the background the island is Fulla, which sits off to the west of Shetland. So you can get prints of that's a print. You can order that online at Hudson Records, along with albums downloads. And the other thing we're doing as part of this album release is we're supporting the great wildlife conservation charity Trees for Life, who are doing amazing things rewilding the Highlands. And you can buy a tree. We've set up a little grove with them, and there's 100 trees in it already. Thanks so much, folks, for
101, Lauren, 101.
101.
Tree 101.
So if you'd like to buy a tree along with your album purchase, please do so. We're just trying to go a little way to offset the carbon footprint that we amass whilst we're on tour, or we're on tour. So yeah, that's one thing we're not feeling too bad about, is a little bit less mileage at the moment, which means more trees to plant, and a bit of respite for the environment. But those are all things you can find on the website and online. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. It's been a lovely Sunday morning.
Yeah.